a lot stronger, and I think he's going to have better endurance. Not being able to boil himself down like that, and even though it is a huge jump, I think we lose sight of the fact of how much he had to boil down and how gaunt he looked at 140.
So obvious, I guess, because Crawford is bigger.
Right.
Crawford is heavy, you know, like he carries himself, you know, he's very solid right now. He's taller, you know, when you see in the face-off. So he is technically bigger.
I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, okay, so let me look at this from Canelo's perspective and the experience of being in the ring with guys that are long and fast. What we've seen come from Canelo is the patience. Something that I know from my own personal experience, a guy that shows a lot of patience and you don't bother him by winning rounds. I don't think Canelo's gonna get bothered.
Andre Ward issued a strong warning to Canelo Álvarez, pointing out that Terence Crawford presents a unique and dangerous challenge. Ward noted subtle signs that time might be catching up with Canelo, slightly reduced punch output and reflexes that aren't as sharp as before, while still acknowledging that Canelo remains one of the best fighters in the world. He emphasized that Canelo's skill and craft are still elite, but stressed that Crawford is a different kind of opponent. Ward compared Canelo's recent performances to a preseason warm-up, adding that the true test will come when he faces Crawford's precision, power, and adaptability in the ring.
In my case, but I'm really not moving up in weight. I'm just not having to boil myself down. So I think that Terence is going to be a lot stronger, and I think he's going to have better endurance. Not being able to boil himself down like that, and even though it is a huge jump, I think we lose sight of the fact of how much he had to boil down and how gaunt he looked at 140, and even quickly at 147. It got to the point where you start to cut into muscle mass. If you know anything about weight loss, at a certain point, that affects you in a boxing ring. Boxing, maybe wrestling, and MMA are the only sports where you have to tear yourself down for two months or 3 months, not just the training, but the weight loss. And then you have less than or right around 24 hours to put it back on, and then you need to go be great the next night. Everybody else gets to play or compete at their walking around weight or their playing rate. So I think that's going to favor Terence Crawford as not having to boil down 25 or 20. It's probably going to be about 10 to 12.
What do you make of the state of Canelo right now? Because it does seem like he's received a little bit of heat, and I think the last performance, it was somewhat warranted because like the output was historically low.
Yeah.
But to me, I felt like he knew. I mean, Terence was sitting there in the front row in Riyadh. Like, why would you even put yourself in risk when you've got this gigantic fight waiting for you? Like, just get the win over Skull, move on, get the belts, and you get the big fight. So how much do you chalk it up to like, the motivation just isn't there because the opponents aren't on his level, or maybe he's just getting older and, as you know, Father Time is undefeated?
Great question. I think a couple of things are true. I think number one, Father Time is catching up to Canelo, but it's subtle. A little less punch output than normal. Maybe the reflexes have weaned just a little bit, but he's still better than most fighters in the world today.
Brian Mendoza, a junior middleweight contender, believes Canelo Álvarez hold the edge over Terence Crawford not only because of his size, but also due to his experience and skill set. He acknowledges Crawford's exceptional talent and success against top-tier opponents, but stresses that weight classes exist for a reason. According to Mendoza, Canelo's extensive career in higher divisions gives him a natural comfort at 168 pounds, a factor Crawford can't easily match. While recognizing Crawford's greatness, Mendoza ultimately favors Canelo, pointing to his ring IQ, championship pedigree, and proven track record against bigger fighters as key advantages in this matchup.
We gonna finish this thing strong. Gonna get Brian Mendoza's perspective of what you think about this fight with Canelo Álvarez versus Terence Crawford.
It's so, like, I feel like every day I'm almost kind of changing my opinion, but at the end of the day, I lean towards Canelo because of the size.
Yeah.
But I know the size thing isn't so, like, so obvious, I guess, because Crawford is bigger.
Right.
Crawford is heavy, you know, like he carries himself, you know, he's very solid right now. He's taller, you know, when you see in the face-off. So he is technically bigger. It's just the size it's very different when you carry that weight in the ring. That's what you got to worry about performing with. And, just based off kind of like the performance at 154, although it was against a very solid fighter with Madrimov, I don't know if he's going to be solid enough, just used to carrying that type of weight around at 68. So that's the reason I lean towards Canelo, but the skill-wise, everything else is obviously still more on Bud's side.
Yeah.
So that's where my toss-up is. So I just lean towards Canelo because at the end of the day, you got to respect the weight classes.
We've been real heavy on this fight. We've been talking about it for a couple of weeks now. And I feel like every time I've spoken about Canelo and Crawford, the only thing I'm talking about is Crawford. So I said, you know what, today I'm going to flip the script. Today it's all about Canelo for me, and I might break your heart in the process. But I got to keep it real. You're right. This is a 50-50 fight. This is a fight where, as I was telling the Uber driver this morning, these guys, we've seen them both make mistakes in the ring. But they've never cost them, right? This is the first fight that I believe they both have are going to get in the ring where the small mistake is actually a big mistake against the opposer.
Jeff Horn, the former WBO welterweight champion who stunned the boxing world by beating Manny Pacquiao in 2017, warns Canelo Álvarez about the serious threat Terence Crawford poses. Horn admits Canelo's size, power, and experience could give him an advantage early, predicting he'll try to press forward and use his physicality to back Crawford up. But Horn emphasizes that Crawford excels at making adjustments, and once he finds his rhythm, he's nearly impossible to stop. With elite timing, precision, and the ability to switch styles mid-fight, Crawford is one of boxing's most dangerous finishers. Horn believes if Canelo can't end things early, the later rounds will tilt heavily toward Crawford, whose stamina, counterpunching, and composure under pressure could break Canelo down. Ultimately, Horn side with Crawford, arguing that while Canelo may control the early action, Crawford's systematic approach makes him a favorite if the fight goes the distance.
I favor Canelo. Not by a lot, but I do favor him. I just think that, I think the Skull fight was just a bad style. And I think Canelo was like, why force the issue? You know what I mean? I'm up. This guy's running. I'm not gonna take a chance. So I think that it was that kind of fight for Canelo. But Madrimov did give Crawford problems. You know what I'm saying? And where I felt like, damn, at 54, he gave you problems. 68 is different. You know what I'm saying? So you going up 3 weight classes, because he was 47, 54, 60, 68. That's 3 weight classes. It's a major difference, man. And one thing is like, right, so people are saying Canelo has problems with movers. But the reality is Crawford's not a mover. Crawford's not a fighter that fights on his feet in the sense of boxing, kind of like, let's say, how a Pernell Whitaker would box or how Landy Lara would box. Crawford is a fighter that works on angles. He's not on his feet like Muhammad Ali. You know what I'm saying? He's not that kind of boxer. So he's going to be there to get hit, And I feel like that favors Canelo, because Canelo's going to hit you in the arms. He's going to hit you in the elbows. He's going to hit anything you give him, he's going to take it. You know what I mean? And now, is Crawford just going to switch his style and become a mover, moving up 3 weight classes? So now you're going to put all that weight on your legs, and you never boxed like that before. How can you do that?
Teddy Atlas, one of boxing's most respected trainers and analysts, dismisses the criticism surrounding Terence Crawford's performance against Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds. Many point to that fight as proof Crawford can't handle a naturally bigger fighter like Canelo Álvarez, but Atlas calls that assumption shallow. He explains it was Crawford's first bout in a new weight class, and history shows great fighters often need time to adjust when moving up. Success isn't just about bringing skills to a higher division. It's about mastering timing, range, and conditioning while carrying extra weight without losing speed and explosiveness, which takes time. Crawford's ability to overcome Madrimov's physical strength in his debut already proved his versatility. With that experience behind him, Atlas expects Crawford to be sharper, more fluid, and even more dangerous next time, making him a legitimate threat to a proven champion like Canelo.
Now, so I avoided that. I would bring in specific sparring partners that, A, knew how to be a sparring partner. Yeah, if I wanted some, I went over to him before the day started. Listen, I want you to do this. All right, Ted. I'm paying him. I have the right to do that. I want you to move more today. I want you to, you know what? I want you to press him a lot. You know what? There was a fight I was getting a guy ready for, and I was worried about the first couple rounds. So I said, when the bell rings, I want you to rush out of the corner and go right after him. And I was, obviously I had my guy ready because we were getting ready for that kind of fight plan, for the possibility that the opponent would come out that way. So I wouldn't look to get a boots Ennis. I mean, nothing wrong with that's what they want. That's fine, and I get it, the style, the size, the length. I understand. It's not a bad pick from that point of view. But for me, again, I never go down that road because I got my guy getting ready for a fight. I don't want to leave it in the gym. I don't want to get into that kind of war in the gym. No, I want to have control of all aspects of what the hell I'm doing in the gym to get ready for one night. So no, I wouldn't do that. I'd get the right spar partners. If I thought I had a guy, I get guys that my guy could work with, and if he was having an off day, he could kind of, have his way and do what he wanted with the guy. I'd have one of them. I'd probably have 3 guys, sometimes 4, depending on where we were at, with the calendar when the fight was coming up.
Terence Crawford's win over Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds cemented his status as one of boxing's rare multi-division greats. By claiming victory in this new weight class, Crawford became a 4-division world champion, adding to his achievements at lightweight, junior welterweight, and welterweight. Even more historic, he's the first male fighter of the 4-belt era to become undisputed in 2 separate divisions, a feat that underscores his dominance and consistency across weight classes. The Madrimov fight wasn't just another win. It showcased Crawford's ability to bring his ring IQ, timing, and defensive brilliance into a division filled with naturally bigger men. Despite Madrimov's physical strength, Crawford dismantled those advantages with precision, patience, and adaptability, proving his skills transcend weight categories. This victory confirmed that Crawford isn't just surviving at higher weights, he's thriving, further solidifying his reputation as one of the most versatile and dangerous fighters in the sport.
And a lot has been taken out of you in the gym. You left it in the gym. And we heard that Jaron Boots Ennis was getting the best of Canelo Álvarez in his sparring sessions. That he possibly gave him a black eye. We saw the knot on his head. That was just a week ago. The fight is next week, next Saturday. So 3 weeks out from the fight, and you having this hard sparring sessions with Jaron Boots Ennis, who wants to prove a point. Leave no doubt. Jaron Ennis is going into those sparring sessions not just to be a sparring partner, but to gauge where he stands against a legend and a Hall of Famer and a superstar like Canelo Álvarez, to understand where he can get better and understand that he can actually compete on that level. So make no mistake about it. Jaron Boots Ennis wasn't in there to lay down. Now, he had a job to do. He was there for a specific reason, which is to give Canelo looks that Terence Crawford could possibly give him. But you best believe, in those sparring sessions, he gonna give what he have. He gonna test the waters to see where he stands, right? Not just to help Canelo, not just to be a dummy. There's a reason you bring in a high-profile fighter. And so Teddy Atlas believes this is a huge mistake on Canelo Álvarez's part, because now he has possibly left it in the gym. And now he got to go into battle with Terence Crawford. So it's like having 2 fights in a matter of 3 weeks. And your body's going to show the wear and tear.